All right, welcome to lesson 4, which is fossil remains. So fossils form from groundwater a lot of times, and so that's why it's brought up. But groundwater is just the water that's in the ground, so it's beneath the surface, and it's found within the pores of the rock. All right, so if we look at the fossil record, fossils tell us what has existed in the past, and it also helps us link what is present today. So there's a big array of fossils that we find, and it shows us how evolution has occurred. So we can see here the horse on the left, and so the horse has evolved, especially after the dinosaurs became extinct. The horses were able to quickly evolve to take up niches, and those niches were occupied before by dinosaurs, but horses and mammals in general became very bigger, very much larger after the dinosaurs, and that's because dinosaurs filled a large niche, a large um, part of the ecosystem. And so mammals were able to fill in that after the dinosaurs became extinct. Then you can see dogs here. So here's an ancestral wolf. And all dogs have basically formed and evolved from wolves. And a lot of the dog species that we see today are artificially bred. So that means that a certain dog might be shorter or taller or have longer fur. And so we select for that. So we selectively breed for that specific dog. And that's how we have such a huge variety of dogs, is because we are selectively breeding for certain types. All right, so there's different ways that fossils can be preserved. And so fossils can be preserved with their original preservation, so meaning that they're intact. So here on the left, we can see a spider that is trapped in amber, kind of like Jurassic Park style. And then the picture on the right is a baby mammoth. And this mammoth was frozen, and it's frozen with its skin intact. So that's very rare for a fossil for us to be able to see the skin and everything else from an animal. So usually it's just the bones. So this animal froze, or if there's oxygen-free environment. So that can occur, one if it's frozen, one if it's in tar or in amber, like the picture on the left. And then also, it could be just because it's in a swampy area, and that could be oxygen free as well. All right, and then we can see there's altered parts. So here we can see just bone structure, or we can see the shells. So those would be parts. So they're not the original animal. It's not with fur or with feathers, but it's just altered hard parts. So it's basically reformed into um, like a cast. All right, so how do fossils form? So minerals, water seeps into the shell, for example, on the right here. And then the shell is usually made of calcium carbonate, and calcium carbonate dissolves, and what's left behind are minerals. And so it's mineral replacement. And happens a lot with petrified wood. So in our lab in class, you guys will see petrified wood. And so basically, water has replaced the wood with minerals. And so we still see the structure of the wood, but it's minerals instead. And shells do that same thing. And you guys will see that in the lab as well. All right, so it fills in basically and forms crystallized shell, kind of like a geode in a way. And so that's recrystallization. So the crystals form within the shell, and we see the shell, but in the form of a crystal instead. All right, and then there's things called molds and casts. So a mold is the like an imprint. So here you can see a mold. So think of like a mold that you're going to make a cake with. So it's like hollowed out, right? And then you pour the batter in, and then what you get out of it is a cast. So a mold is like a hollowed out portion, and a cast is what would be formed from that mold. So you can see here, this is the mold. If we were to pour some material into that, what we would get out of it is a cast, like this picture on the right. And so those are both shells. And then we can get trace fossils. So trace fossils mean that the organism isn't actually there at all, but we see a trace of it. So the footprints on the left, the footprint on the right, which is a dinosaur footprint, and then the leaf imprint in the middle. And you guys will see, I don't have any footprints. That would be cool for fossils, but I do have a leaf imprint. And so the leaf is no longer there, but it left a trace. It actually left a carbon print of the leaf.
Like buried treasure, they lie hidden from sight. Echoes of an ancient past, they whisper secrets and tell tales once lost to time. Fossils are remnants or impressions of ancient organisms that are naturally preserved in stone. While there are hundreds of fossil types, they are often grouped into two major categories: body fossils, which are the preserved remains of plants and animals, and trace fossils, which are records of an animal's behavior, such as footprints. Together, they form the fossil record, a primary account that tells the story of life on Earth through stone. Fossilization, or the process of preserving organisms in stone, can occur in countless ways. These methods are largely grouped depending on whether the organisms are altered during the fossilization process. Fossilization that does not alter a specimen can help to preserve its original form and texture. Among many methods, this group includes organisms that have been frozen, preserved in tar pits, and mummified. One special case involves trapping organisms, oftentimes insects, in amber. This process begins when an organism is covered in tree sap. The sap, or resin, forms a protective seal around the entrapped organism. Over time, the soft resin hardens and turns into amber, with the organism suspended within. This process creates a biologically inert tomb for the organism, allowing its soft tissues to be remarkably preserved. Other fossilization methods change the specimen as it is being preserved. For instance, carbonization transforms soft tissues into thin black films of carbon. In fact, countless layers of carbonized plant material create a well-known fossil fuel: coal. But one of the most common types of fossilization that changes a specimen is called permineralization. Permineralization begins when minerals from water or the ground enter the pores of dead plant or animal material. Over time, the minerals attach themselves, clinging onto cellular walls and building a crystalline network in the empty cavities. This mineralization hardens the bone and turns it into stone, thereby preserving its original structure in fossil form. When conditions are right, fossilization can preserve crucial information about an organism. Permineralized wood often contains enough information to identify its tree genus and sometimes its species. Insects encased in amber have been so well preserved that their genetic material was extracted and partially sequenced. And footprints left behind by ancient hominins help paint a picture of what life was like for early human ancestors millions of years ago. With every fossil uncovered, the planet's ancient past becomes clearer, helping shape our understanding of our world today.
All right, so that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.